question for all of you, and it's a really simple, straightforward one. Why does Hillary Clinton still have a presidential campaign? Why does she still have a candidacy? I mean, yeah, she's not going to be prosecuted for emailgate. She's not going to be indicted. Nothing. She's not going to be held to account for anything that she's done ever. So from that standpoint, well, then she's free to continue to run, and that is true. But why is her candidacy still viable? This is something I've said for a number of years now. Hillary Clinton is the worst national presidential candidate in American history, certainly of the modern era. She is the antithesis of her husband, President Bill Clinton. She has no charisma. She has no, well, doesn't need integrity. In fact, having integrity seems to be an impediment these days, but she has no charisma. She has no appeal. She's not likable. She is abrasive. She's hectoring. She's off-putting. She has no talent for retail politics. She completely lacks her husband's campaigning political skill set. So she came into this race. She's come into both in 2008 and in this time, the 2016 cycle, completely ill-equipped and unequipped to run for president and get elected. She's the worst possible candidate the Democrats could have put up. And now, with Emailgate and with what FBI Director James Comey said last week, and when she said, well, we're not going to prosecute her, but we should. In essence, that's what he said. He made the case for prosecuting the hell out of Hillary Clinton, putting her behind bars where she belongs, and then said, but we're not going to do it. It couldn't be any clearer that those were the orders from on high, from Barack Hussein Obama. I don't care what you found, you're not prosecuting Hillary Clinton, period. So Comey went out there and gave all the reasons why she should be prosecuted, indicted, and imprisoned, and then said, but we're not going to do it. But, in terms of the political fallout, in terms of the fallout for her poll numbers, it seems to have had some measurable impact. It could have had a huge impact if the GOP had actually nominated a Republican as their presidential standard bearer. But yet Donald Trump is running PR interference for Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump's political distraction circus, you could call it. And it's serving as a Hillary Clinton media shield. Caleb Howe wrote about last week at Red State. On Tuesday, last week ago Tuesday, FBI Director James Comey, as we all know, held a pretty amazing press conference during which he went through a laundry list of ways in which Hillary Clinton and company mishandled classified information, violated the law, betrayed the American trust, and showed poor judgment. Gross negligence, remember? While simultaneously stating that nothing whatsoever would be done about it. The American people were outraged. Well, that may be an exaggeration, but some were anyway. Even the media weren't super enamored with it. But by Tuesday night last week, people were talking about something else. What? What could possibly be talking about other than the nuclear bomb, in PR terms, that was dropped on Hillary Clinton last Tuesday? What else? A ridiculous thing Donald Trump said. This was not the first time Trump had praised Saddam Hussein's wonderful terror-fighting acumen, as we talked about yesterday. He'd been pulling that chestnut out for years. He probably worked it up for his rich and famous parties, one of those social gathering talking points. You know, those rich and famous parties with other New York liberals, other New York liberal Democrats. A perfectly encapsulated tidbit of provocative idea and blowhardery that makes you sound interesting before you ask someone to hand you money for condos you'll never build. Sounds kind of like running for president, doesn't it? From Trump's perspective, certainly. Asking people for money to run for an office that he's never going to hold. Trump just never stopped using the Saddam praise once he got on the campaign trail, so it isn't new. But the media and the people latched onto it, and Hillary Clinton was bumped from the trending lists. Hillary Clinton was, you know the term unindicted co-conspirator? Well, Hillary Clinton is an unprosecuted felon. This should have been the end of her campaign last week. And she was bumped from the trending lists. Hillary Clinton, unindicted felon. And Emailgate became Donald Trump praises Saddam Hussein and says we should be like him. America should be like Saddam Hussein's Iraq. Last Wednesday, people returned focus to Hillary as grown-ups made statements highlighting how absurd it is that Hillary was sliding by with many transgressions and no repercussions. And again, the tide turned against her and away from the GOP, but again by last Wednesday evening, the news had changed. Why? Why? Donald Trump held a political rally wherein he spent a great deal of time defending his anti-Semitic friends and their drawings. You know, remember the Star of David controversy? Doubling down on his praise and deification of Saddam Hussein and reliving his primary triumphs over his terrible opponents. And again, Hillary Clinton and Emailgate were knocked off the trending lists, and all the focus was on several more reasons thrown on the huge, towering, mountainous pile of reasons not to vote for Donald Trump. When the media turns attention away from Hillary and towards Trump, his followers and fans and apologists point their fingers at the media and cry foul. The outrage over Trump's comments about Saddam among the press was perfectly timed for Hillary Clinton, but totally old news otherwise. Was the media running cover for Hillary? Well, of course they're running cover for Hillary, but so is Trump. So is Trump. There's something called, when your opponent is self-destructing, get out of the way and let him do it. But no, not Trump, because Trump can't survive if the spotlight isn't on him. But guess what, folks? That's old news, too, about the media. Of course the media is going to run cover for Hillary. They have pivoted to that. They're going to destroy Donald Trump, and they're going to drag Hillary's fat ass across the finish line first. Everybody knew this. That's why the media ran interference for Donald Trump during the GOP primaries, because they wanted Trump as the GOP nominee, because they know, just like we ought to know, that Donald Trump is the only candidate that Hillary Clinton could defeat. And she will. Trust me. Of course, the press takes Hillary Clinton talking propaganda and runs with it. I don't like the term talking points. It's propaganda. That's the term you're looking for. The Hillary Clinton campaign attacked Trump's comments, and away they went with that night. So in other words, on what should have been the two worst days of the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign in the 2016 cycle, Hillary won both days in PR terms. She won both news cycles. Yeah. I mean, who else? I guess you could make this point. Who else could have done that but Donald Trump? Who else could have bailed out Hillary Clinton on the day that, in every way except in the courtroom, if you follow my drift, Hillary Clinton should have been the two worst days of her campaign, and she won both news cycles because of Donald Trump. Almost as if he's doing it deliberately. What do you think? I told you people, I told my readers at politicalpistachio.com a year ago, over a year ago, that Donald Trump is Hillary Clinton's stalking horse. This is just more redundant evidence of it. Tell me how I'm wrong about that. You can't do it, can you? No, you cannot. So Hillary attacked Trump's comments, and away they ran away with that night. 2 nights in a row, they should have been destroyed. It should have been the end of the Hillary Clinton campaign. Instead, she won those 2 PR cycles. Trump didn't need those comments. Why did he make them? Well, I think we know. That stupid line about Saddam Hussein being so good at killing terrorists when he was actually a state sponsor of terrorism, besides being stupid, was a foreseeable problem. And what about last Wednesday night? Spending his rally defending a tweet, defending an anti-Semitic tweet that he or one of his staff who runs his Twitter feed idiotically retweeted. It wasn't he didn't create the Star of David tweet again, but he did retweet it, or his staff did. And he spent most of that rally last Wednesday of last week, defending it. He did that, and what time he wasn't wasting on that? He was doubling down on how great Saddam Hussein is, and how we should be more like Saddam Hussein's Iraq. Attacking old rivals whom he's already defeated. Bragging about prior victories because, well, that might be understandable because he ain't going to have any more victories. Heck, conceivably, possibly, not probably, not likely, but possibly he might not even get the nomination if enough delegates revolt and unbind themselves and vote for somebody else. I don't think that's going to happen, but because the Republican Party is sheep, remember? Conventionalists, not counter-revolutionaries. So why does Trump keep doing these things? Because they are the perfect distraction. Because he's Hillary Clinton's stalking horse. Because he's taking a dive. Because his role in all of this, his role in this campaign was to ensure Hillary Clinton became the 45th president of the United States. Assuming, of course, that Barack Obama leaves when he's supposed to next January. It's true, Trumplicans. It's true. You're idiots. You're morons. You're dupes. You've been swindled, bilked, hoodwinked, led down the primrose path by the New York liberal con man. And when Trump fans are angry that the subject gets changed, they should see who is changing it. The media is already going to do everything in their power to protect Hillary Clinton and hurt Donald Trump, although they don't love this particular Democrat quite as much. But tribalism, right tribe, wrong tribe. But Hillary is a walking human example of everything voters are rejecting this year. You have to work hard not to capitalize on that. You have to work hard not to benefit from it. But Donald Trump managed to pull it off. Poll after poll shows Trump isn't benefiting from Hillary Clinton's implosion, or should have been implosion. Any actual Republican would be. I mean, there comes a time when you have to ask, who is hurting Trump's narrative more? The media or Donald Trump? Trump's circus act and the media's Clinton shield are combined the perfect storm for getting her in the White House. And that's no accident. She continues to lead in the polls. Trump fans and GOP leadership, just remember that. Remember why. It's your foreseeable disaster of a candidate. He's the reverse of you break it and you buy it. You bought him, he'll break you. Now, House Republicans tried to save Trump. They tried. They tried to save him last Thursday, but Trump wouldn't let him. He wouldn't let them bail him out. He wouldn't let them protect him. Wouldn't let them run interference for him. Wouldn't let them bail him out, because that would be weak. And Trump's all about strength, even if strength is taking him down in flames. You know, I've been said all throughout the primary campaign, primary season, politics is a profession. It always has been. It has been a profession from the dawn of the old deceased American Republic, defunct American Republic. Always has been. Politics is a profession. Why do you want an outsider? Why do you want somebody who doesn't know what he's doing? Why is that appealing? I've used the analogy before so many times. If you needed open heart surgery, would you want the best heart surgeon in the world, a professional, somebody who'd done this 1,000 times, with no failure and with a 100% success rate, or would you want to go down to Midas and get get Mr. Goodrich, get an auto mechanic, and take your chances, or just perform it on yourself? Yeah, I'll perform open heart surgery on myself. Or if you were being falsely accused of murder, if you were Sam Shepard, and you were being falsely accused of murder, wouldn't you want the best, most professional and successful legal team money could buy? Wouldn't you want O.J. Simpson's dream team, or would you want Joe Pesci's character from My Cousin Vinny? What is a Ute? Wouldn't you want somebody who knew what they were doing? So why would you want somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, who isn't qualified by definition to be leader of the free world? Why would you want that? Well, Trumplicans, you're that's what you wanted, that's what you got, and you're reaping the whirlwind. So House Republicans tried to save Trump's ass last Thursday. God only knows why. But he wouldn't let them. As Leon Wolf pointed out at Red State. Last Thursday should have been last Thursday should have been a brutal campaign ending day for Hillary Clinton. The guy who was basically shielding her from criminal prosecution, James Comey in this context, FBI director, stood in front of Congress and for hours slammed her judgment, her callousness toward national security, and even her sophistication. Republicans successfully painted the picture of a man who refused to bring charges because he was basically ordered not to do so, but who clearly believed that Hillary Clinton had no business handling classified information ever again, which, of course, would make it difficult to be president. The Democrats, by way of contrast, were left a blubbering mess without scoring a single media point, and making themselves look like idiots for pretending that the idea of holding a hearing about the damning allegations raised by Comey was somehow non-serious. The day started, of course, with Trump meeting with House Republicans in an attempt to slow or at least halt a threatened public mutiny about Trump's behavior, including his bizarre rant about the Star of David tweet during a speech last Wednesday. Although Trump faced some tough questions, for the most part, House members appeared ready to listen and left the meeting, and for the most part did their best to turn the national focus back to Hillary's carelessness with national security, trying to turn chicken crap into chicken salad. But as he has always done. However, Trump decided to respond to any news cycle that's bad for Hillary by drawing attention back to some stupid thing or another that he's done for the third straight 24-hour news cycle. And yet again, Trump didn't disappoint. First, he picked a public fight with Jeff Flake and Mark Kirk, Republican senators from Arizona and Illinois, respectively, calling Kirk a loser. Oh, by the way, Kirk is not supporting Trump. And telling Jeff Flake he was probably going to lose an election even though he isn't facing re-election this year. He's facing it in 2018, if I remember correctly. Then he asked, Trump that is, whether he would respect the constitutional powers of Congress, and he responded with an answer that clearly indicated he doesn't know the Constitution from his own rectal canal. Let's go over to Brandon Morse's coverage of that gaffe. Now, what's Trump's level of care for the Constitution? I tried to bring this to Douglas V. Gibbs' attention yesterday, last week ago. Yeah, a week ago. Because Douglas V. Gibbs, Mr. Constitution, that Constitution guy, constitutional originalist extraordinaire, self-taught, and he's supporting Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump's level of care for the Constitution. A question that has been on the mind of many, although apparently not so much Mr. Gibbs, since he even began running, and he's oftentimes presented with some unlikable results, or should be. Douglas V. Gibbs shouldn't like these results. Our Bill of Rights didn't stop Trump from promising to temporarily ban all Muslims. You'll also recall that Trump once said during a debate that Obama lacked the courage to use military force in 2013 with the Assad regime. In truth, Obama didn't have the congressional backing. Now, that doesn't mean that Obama was constitutionally forbidden from using military force against Bashar al-Assad almost 3 years ago. What it did mean is that if Congress disagrees, Congress can cut off funding. That's what that means. In any case, and banning Muslims, deporting Muslims, that would be a problem. Keeping more from coming in, that wouldn't be. But none of that's, but then Trump doesn't mean that anyway. That's just red meat to the bubbas, as it were. In any case, none of that mattered to Trump. But aside from his obvious dismissal of the Constitution, he doesn't even seem to know what the Constitution says. And if you... Oh, man. I don't... You know, it would be fascinating to see Donald Trump forcibly enrolled in one of Douglas V. Gibbs's Constitution classes. I mean, forcibly. Like, after he's criminally convicted of fraud from the Trump University deal, and part of his sentence was forcible enrollment in and attendance of Douglas V. Gibbs's Constitution classes. That would be fascinating to see, wouldn't it, in so many different ways. Recently, Trump sat down with Republican legislators to help grease the wheels between him and all the other, well, between Trump and the Republicans, because Trump isn't a Republican, before the upcoming GOP convention next week. At one point, Representative Mark Sanford of South Carolina marked a moment that had him suspicious that the guy doesn't even know a thing about what he's being put in office to protect. Here's a quote from the Washington Post. Congressman Sanford left the meeting worried about Trump's grasp on the basics of the Constitution. At a lunch with reporters afterward, he recalled that the candidate did not seem to know what he was promising to defend. I wasn't particularly impressed, said Sanford. It was the normal stream of consciousness, BS, as the party left out, that's long on hyperbole and short on facts. At one point, somebody asked about Article 1 powers. What will you do to protect them? Now, of course, Article 1 of the United States Constitution sets forth the powers of the legislative branch of the federal government, Congress. Article 1, Section 1. Right here, all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. So there you go. Article 1, Section 1. It lays out the legislative powers. It lays out the powers of Congress, the legislative branch of government. Article 2 sets out the powers of the presidency, the executive branch. Article 3 of the judiciary, the judicial branch of the federal, well, really the Supreme Court, because then it empowers Congress to create appellate courts, lower level courts. But Article 3 lays out the powers of the United States Supreme Court. I mean, this is not deep in the weeds of constitutional jurisprudence. This is Constitution 101. This is the basic Constitution. A book that I edited for Douglas V. Gibbs when I was his book editor. I suppose that's out the window too now that Douglas V. Gibbs has sold out to Donald Trump. So that's what Sanford is referring to here. What will you do? Somebody asked about Article 1 powers. What will you do to protect them? Trump's response was, I want to protect Article 1, Article 2, Article 12, going down the list. Well, there is no Article 12. This is like 2 Corinthians, which I'm sure Trump thinks is a chapter on the Apostle Paul making sure that the seats in his car were covered with fine Corinthian leather or something. I mean, how do you not know that there are only 7 articles in the United States Constitution? 7 articles, 27 amendments. That's it. How do you not know that? Well, because Donald Trump is ignorant, and Donald Trump doesn't care, and Donald Trump is a con man, and it just goes to illustrate that when your intended marks so much want to be fooled, it's real easy to fool them. The con man doesn't even have to work at it. He can make ridiculous mistakes like this. Article 12. and then they'll just overlook it. They'll just, yeah, fight, Trump. Are you paying attention, Doug? This is the guy you're supporting. Article 12. Hillary's not worse than this. Trump's not better than Hillary. For those who aren't up on their articles, just be thorough here. Trump was asked what he would do to protect legislative powers, Article 1, which is a good question, seeing as how Obama has run roughshod over Congress and the legislative branch throughout his presidency. Trump responded, obviously unknowingly, or who knows, maybe he did know and just did it anyway to rub our noses, our meaning none of the above, never Trump, in the fact of how thoroughly he has duped and taken over the Republican Party on behalf of the Democrats. Trump responded that he wants to protect the Article 1, the legislative branch, Article 2, the executive branch, which is totally out of the context of the question, and Article 12, which doesn't exist. There are only 7. There are only 7 articles of the United States Constitution. Now, if Trump did know what he's talking about in any capacity, then it should raise alarms that he even said he wanted to protect Article 2, which I'm sure did nothing to rest the nerves of whichever legislator asked him the question of protecting Article 1. Of course, given his expressed belief that being president is akin to being king, I thought we were tired of that crap after 8 years of it from Barack Hussein Obama. Trump's wanting to hold Article 2 close and personal isn't far out of the realm of believability. So, for those keeping count, Trump knows about 2 Corinthians, but there are 5 extra articles of the Constitution in the September 11th attacks that happened on July 11th. So, suffice it to say, Trump doesn't know the Constitution from his own ass. Now, this is now the 4th or 5th time that elected Republicans as a whole have attempted to come to grips with Trump and talk themselves into the idea that he can maintain message discipline or at least not bring them down with him. Message discipline from Donald Trump. Really? You bought it. You bought him. He's breaking you. I say you because the Republican Party left me. I'm an independent. Conservative independent. Conservative Ronin! If I will not have Trump for a master. But, you know, congressional Republicans, Republican officials, Republican elected officials, they've begged and pleaded with him. They basically deluded themselves into believing that now Trump is going to turn the corner. Now he's going to pivot. Now he's going to become presidential. But then if he did that, wouldn't that forfeit his appeal? Wouldn't his base turn on him in outrage? Isn't that why they voted for him? Because he wasn't presidential? Because he was an idiot? Because he did say stupid things? I got a video coming up here in not too distant future on this very topic. Why that is Trump's appeal to Trumplicans. That he's an idiot. That he's a moron. That he's ignorant. That he doesn't know what he's doing. That's why they like him. The entertainment value. That's why they like him. It's spite. That's what you get when all you have left is fight, but you throw overboard that for which you were ostensibly fighting. You get spite. You get the double extended middle finger. That's it. That's all you got left. Tribalism. I thought we were sick of tribalism. Turns out Trumplicans weren't sick of tribalism. They just wanted their own tribe. They really believed, Republican officials, well, I guess in their position, when they're presented with a crap sandwich and they're trying to somehow make it palatable. So I suppose they're in a position where they have to try to convince. I mean, they couldn't even get out of bed in the morning otherwise. They have to try to convince themselves that, oh, he can exercise message. He's capable of exercising message discipline. He won't really bring us down. I mean, he can turn the corner. He can be presidential. At the very least, he's not going to be an offensive, clueless buffoon. But that is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is an offensive, clueless buffoon. That is his appeal. Donald Trump is what you get when you take the guy you see sitting on the park bench muttering to himself with a fifth of old thumbsucker in a brown paper bag, and you give him, well, 200 million, whatever his liquidity level is, whatever his wealth level is. That's what happens when you make someone like that rich and famous. This is what you get. You get Donald Trump. And somehow, for whatever insane, mass psychotic reason, that had appealed to 43% of the Republican nominating electorate, and hence Trump again. And so, House Republicans tried to do their best to save Trump's flailing candidacy, and in return he went out and shot them in the face. Or rather, yeah, money shot them in the face. Maybe they should just stop trying. Maybe it's obviously not worth it. It's obviously not going to work. A lot of them are going to be out of a job because of Donald Trump, or more to the point, because of Trumplicans. But then that was the point all along, wasn't it? Burn it all down. How's that working out for you?